So we have 86 question. Consider the following steps of a planning cycle. First is assigning priorities among the problems. So we have multiple health problems, and we have to give priorities to them, that which is number one health priority, second which one is second priority, third priority, and so on and so on. Second is evaluation, third is selecting the best program, and then fourth is operating the program. So among these four options, the first one will be assigning priorities among the problems. Second is then we have to make the program and we have to select the best program. Then we have to operate that program, and then we have to evaluate to final evaluation. So correct answer will be 1, 3, 4 and 2. 1, 3, 4 and 2. Now coming to the planning cycle. So this question was taken from the Parks textbook. So what is the first step? Formulating health problem. So we have to formulate health problems. That what all health problems do we have in the community? For that we can gather health data, we can tabulate the data, we can analyze the data, and then we have to interpret the data, and then again we can formulate the health problems. So we have health problems now. Now we will assign priorities among the problems, that which one is to be given important priority, the first priority, then second priority, then third priority, and so on. Then we have to formulate individual priority problems for planning solution. Then we have to define program objectives and how to measure achievements. Then we will assign priorities among objectives too. And then we will design alternative program to solve the problem. Then we will select the best program, that is on the basis of feasibility, cost and effectiveness. Then we will combine program and develop integrated plan. Then we will plan implementation of integrated program. Then we will implement the program. Then we will orient and train the personnel. And then we will initiate integrated program. Then we will operate the program, collect data for evaluation, evaluate the results, goals achieved or not achieved, goal satisfactory or not. If yes, then we have to operate the program, collect data for evaluation, evaluate. So this cycle will go on. And if it is not achieved, then we have to formulate health problems again. So this was about the planning cycle, the question number 86. Now coming to question number 87. Which of the following statement are correct for the incidence rate? So what is incidence? Incidence is new cases. So this is about incidence rate with respect to time. So it is useful for taking action to control disease. Yes, this is correct. If the incidence rate for any disease is rising, then it is important to take action to control that disease. So this is correct. Second, rising incidence rate may indicate ineffectiveness of the current control program. So if we are seeing that in spite of having a current control program, the incidence rates are rising, it means that our current control program is ineffective. So this is also correct. Yes, it may indicate that. Third is fluctuation in incidence rate may indicate a change in etiology of the disease. Yes, this is correct. So whatever be the etiology of the disease, there have occurred some change in that. So that's why the incidence may be rising or incidence may be falling. So fluctuation in the incidence rate may indicate a change in etiology of disease. This is also correct. So 1, 2 and 3. So all the options are correct. Now coming to the reference. So from where this question has been taken. So this has been taken from the Park textbook. So uses of incidence rate. The incidence rate as a health status indicator is useful for taking action, number A, to control disease, which was our option number 1, and B, for research into etiology and pathogenesis, distribution of diseases, and efficacy of preventive and therapeutic measures. For instance, if the incidence rate is increasing, it might indicate failure or ineffectiveness of the current control programs. So this was our second option. Now, rising incidence rate might suggest the need for a new disease control or preventive program, or that reporting practices has improved. So this may indicate both the things, that either we need to do a disease control program, or the disease is under control but our reporting practices had improved, which were initially not that well. A change or fluctuation in the incidence of disease may also mean a change in the etiology of the disease. Etiology of the disease means change in the agent, host and environmental characteristic. Analysis of differences in incidence rate reported from various socioeconomic groups and geographical areas may provide useful insights into effectiveness of health services provided. So this was question number 87 about the incidence rate. Question number 88. Consider the following definition. A high level of infection beginning early in the life and affecting most of the child population. So children are affected more, leading to a state of equilibrium such that the adult population shows evidence of disease much less commonly than the children. So children will be having more than the adults. Now, for example, you can see malaria in certain parts of Africa. So it is having such a high level of infection in the Africa of malaria that the children are having higher prevalence of malaria, and as the children go into adulthood, they develop immunity or they go into state of equilibrium such that the adults are not having that much of malaria. So they are asking which one of the following term best fits for this definition. So which of the following term best fits for this definition? So answer will be holo endemic. So holo endemic. So halo endemic means there is high level of infection such that the children are affected more than the adults. What is hyperendemic? Hyperendemic means that the disease is constantly present at high incidence or prevalence rate and affect all the age groups equally. So children will be equal to adults. What is hypoendemic? Hypoendemic means there is low level of transmission. So this low level of transmission. And what is pandemic? Pandemic means it is affecting a wide geographic area. Wide geographic area such as nation, the entire nation is affected, entire continent is affected, and the world is affected. For example, COVID pandemic. So the answer will be holo endemic. So it is holo endemic. So this is again taken from the Park's textbook. So they are writing that hyperendemic. Hyperendemic means the disease is constantly present at high incidence and or prevalence rate and affect all age groups equally. So children equal to adults. Now the term holo endemic. So second is holo endemic, a high level of infection beginning early in the life and affecting most of the child population, leading to a state of equilibrium such that the adult population shows evidence of the disease much less commonly than to the children, as in the case of malaria. They have given the example of malaria too. So in this case, children is more than the adults. Then we have the pandemic. So what is pandemic? An epidemic usually affecting a large proportion of the population, occurring over a wide geographic area such as a section of a nation, the entire nation, a continent, or the world. And they have given the examples that we have to remember. Influenza pandemic was there in 1918 and 1957. Cholera El Tor in 1962, and it is still continuing. And acute hemorrhagic conjunctivitis in 1971 and 1981. And we know the COVID pandemic as well. So that was about the definition of the holo endemic. So holo endemic means children having more than the adults. And if the children is equal to adults, then it's an hyperendemic. Now, going to question number 89. Consider the following statement regarding dengue virus. It has 4 distinct serotypes. So this is correct. This is DAN 1, DAN 2, DAN 1, DAN 2, DAN 3, and then DAN 4. So this is correct. Second, infection with any one serotype. So if it is infection with DAN V1, so it will confer lifelong immunity for that virus serotype. So this is correct. So if there is a person who has been infected with DAN 3, so now that person will be having lifelong immunity for DAN 3. So if any mosquito bites and the serotype present in the mosquito is DAN 3, that person is not going to develop infection, or he or she will be having lifelong immunity for that virus serotype. Now again, but if the virus is the mosquito is infected by DAN V1, then that person can develop a disease. So this is about the infection with any one serotype confers lifelong immunity for that virus. So this is also correct. Now coming to third, secondary infection with dengue serotype 2 leads to severe form of dengue. This is correct. So among the DAN 1, DAN 2, DAN 3 and DAN 4, the serotype 2 means DAN 2 leads to severe form of dengue. So all statements are correct. So D, 1, 2 and 3 are correct. Now I'm going to source. So this has been taken from the Park textbook. So agent, the dengue virus form a distinct complex within the genus Flavivirus. So the genus is Flavivirus. based on the antigenic and biological characteristic. There are 4 virus serotypes which are designated as DAN1, DAN2, DAN3 and DAN4. Infection with any one serotype confers lifelong immunity to that virus serotype. Although all 4 serotypes are antigenically similar, they are different enough to elicit cross protection for only a few months after infection by any one of them. Secondary infection with dengue serotype 2 or multiple infection with different serotypes leads to severe form dengue hemorrhagic fever or dengue shock syndrome. The first infection probably sensitized the patient, while the second infection with a different serotype appears to produce immunological catastrophe. So this is about the serotype. So coming again, dengue virus, it has 4 distinct serotypes. This is correct. Infection with any one serotype confers lifelong immunity for that virus serotype. Again, this is correct. And second infection with dengue serotype 2 leads to severe form of dengue. This is correct. Now coming to 90th question. Consider the following statement regarding dengue. So again, another question for dengue in the same paper. The mosquito becomes infective after an extensive incubation period of 8 to 10 days. This is correct. So if the mosquito bites a person, so from the entry of virus into that mosquito, so it will take about 8 to 10 days for that mosquito to become infective. So this is known as extrinsic incubation period. So there is incubation period in the case of human. So in the case of human, incubation period means So in the case of human, incubation period means from the entry of microorganism or the infectious agent to development of symptom. While in the case of what is the meaning of extrinsic incubation period? It means a vector, for example, like mosquito vector. So from the entry of virus to the period, to the time when that mosquito becomes infective. So that is known as extrinsic incubation period. So they are saying it is 8 to 10 days. So this is correct. Now second, once it becomes infected, the mosquito remains infective for life. Yes, this is again correct. Third is the genital tract of the mosquito does not confer. No, this is wrong. The genital tract of the mosquito becomes infected, and that's why it also leads to infection to ova, and from ova that can transmit to the future generation. So the answer will be 1 and 2 only. So A is correct and second is correct. First is correct. Now coming to the source, the transmission of disease, the Aedes mosquito becomes infective by feeding on a patient from the day before onset to the 5th day, that is viremia stage of illness. So from 1 day before. So this is illness, this is the day 0 of illness. So from 1 day before it, so that is we can say day -1 to day 5th. So till this day, if the mosquito bites to that person, it is going to get infected, and after day 5 it is not going to become infected. After an extensive incubation period of 8 to 10 days, the mosquito becomes infective and is able to transmit the infection. Once the mosquito becomes infective, it remains so for life. The genital tract of the mosquito gets infected, and trans-ovarian transmission of dengue virus occurs when virus enters fully developed eggs at the time of oviposition. So this was about 90th question. So we have to remember the extensive incubation period for the dengue is 8 to 10 days, and it remains infective for the lifetime, just like we said in the case of dengue. Infection with any one serotype confer lifelong immunity for that virus serotype in the case of human. In the same way, you can remember that once the mosquito becomes infective with the virus, dengue virus, it is going to remain infective for the whole life. And the genital tract of the mosquito does not get. No, this is incorrect. It is going to infect the ova of the mosquito. So the answer will be 1 and 2.